Picture the most insecure, sensitive person you know, the colleague who collapses into passive-aggressive silence at the slightest constructive feedback, or the friend who is perpetually the victim of a world that just doesn't appreciate their unique genius. We usually interpret their self-pity as a cry for help, but research suggests this fragility can actually serve as a calculated shield, protecting a secretly bloated ego. Behavioral science indicates that while we focus on loud, obvious showboats, the flashy influencers and arrogant bosses, we are often blind to a highly volatile threat hiding in plain sight, the covert narcissist. Egotism does not always announce itself with a trumpet. In many cases, it weaponizes deep introversion and perceived vulnerability to quietly manipulate the room. Data from the Unified Narcissism Scale Revised shows grandiose and vulnerable narcissism are not entirely separate personalities. Instead, both profiles emerge from the same structural foundation. That core is pathological entitlement, the unshakable belief that one is inherently unique and deserving of unearned validation. If the internal engine is the same, why does one person become a boastful egotist while another becomes a quiet martyr? The difference lies in the cultural ecosystem. Pathological narcissism is highly sensitive to localized social norms, adapting its presentation to fit the environment. Because narcissism acts as an adaptive trait, it mutates based on the cultural rules of the nation it occupies. In the United States, the culture leans toward vertical individualism. It's an environment that actively rewards hierarchy, personal ambition, and standing out from the crowd. This is reflected in the Narcissistic Personality Inventory, where the U.S. population average sits at a high 15.3 out of 40, a score that tracks with high levels of self-enhancement. In this environment, the entitlement engine is allowed to be loud, breeding the overt, grandiose narcissist. But the United Kingdom operates on a different model. Social norms actively penalize vanity and public boasting. Here, the average score drops to 13.6. Narcissism hasn't vanished. It has simply been forced underground to avoid social penalties. It mutates into the silent manipulator. This profile uses a veneer of pseudo-humility and passive-aggressive martyrdom to make others feel guilty for not recognizing their hidden genius. This humility is a form of camouflage. It allows the individual to bypass social pushback while still seeking the same sense of superiority as their louder counterparts. To see why this quiet mutation is so volatile, we have to look at how the brain processes interpersonal rejection. Researchers use the Cyberball paradigm, a virtual ball-tossing game designed to simulate direct social exclusion in real time. When grandiose narcissists are rejected in the game, they remain emotionally deactivated. Their ego tells them the other players are too insignificant to matter. But for the covert narcissist, exclusion triggers intense shame and rejection sensitivity. They process the slight not as a nuisance, but as a direct threat to their identity. EEG data shows that when these individuals face an ego threat, beta activity in the motor cortex suddenly drops and flattens. Suppressed beta activity indicates action preparation. The brain is shifting into high gear, preparing for an aggressive response to repair the damaged ego. This suggests that a covert narcissist's silence following a slight is not acceptance. It is the biological preparation for retaliation. These traits are measured by the Hypersensitive Narcissism Scale. While many people share these feelings occasionally, a consistent score of 35 or higher suggests a rigid, maladaptive pattern that can sabotage careers and relationships. One clinical approach to these patterns is schema therapy. It focuses on identifying early childhood wounds, such as emotional deprivation, that lead to these defensive structures. We can see the potential for change in a study by Dr. Claire Hart. Researchers monitored the heart rates of narcissistic individuals as they watched a video of someone experiencing a traumatic breakup. Initially, the subjects showed a flatline response, indicating low empathy. However, when they were explicitly instructed to take the victim's perspective, their heart rate spiked, matching the empathetic response of the control group. Clinicians use this by framing perspective-taking as a skill that serves the patient's personal goals. By showing how empathy can improve their own social status or career success, therapists can begin to reconnect suppressed emotional processing. This suggests the defensive mask is not an unchangeable trait. While the path to long-term change is complex, Utilizing perspective taking as a cognitive tool offers a starting point for dismantling these reactive behaviors. Identifying these internal motivations is the first step towards understanding the more subtle forces that drive human interaction. For more deep dives into the science of behavior, subscribe to Behavior Blueprint. You can find a link to Dr. Claire Hart's original research on empathy in the description below. Understanding the mechanics of the mind is the most effective way to navigate a world of hidden influences. We'll see you in the next one.